Hey everyone, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over my Arcanist build that I've been using for Update 41, the Scions of Ithelia Chapter. I think this build has been so much fun. I really feel like I've been on a hot streak with my builds lately. I've just been genuinely enjoying every single one, and I hope that you guys enjoy too. Real quick though, before we get started, I'm very excited to announce that in a few days, my website with our live serial map will be up and running. The website already has a bunch of builds on it, but very soon you're going to have it so that on the website you're going to be having maps like this on all PC servers. So it's going to be PCNA, PCEU, Black Reach, Grey Host, Ravenwatch, and Ice Reach. It's going to show which alliances have which keeps, and I'm very excited. If you guys think that that's awesome, let me know in the comments below. If you like the idea, if you don't like the idea, let me know in the comments. Would you guys use something like that on like your second monitor and stuff like that? Don't worry guys, console will be coming soon. It's just a lot harder to get console integrated with it, so we're just starting with PC for now, just seeing how you guys like it. So what do you guys think of that? Are you guys excited for that? Would you guys use it? Let me know. But guys, without further ado, let's get on with the build. We're going to be an orc on our Arcanist. Orc I really like lately because of that extra little bit of damage that you get from it. Also, the extra little bit of healing that you get from doing damage as well is really nice for your overall sustained healing. And then also on top of that, you're just a lot faster on orc, so I just really like it overall. We're going to be using the Lover as our Mundus stone to increase our overall penetration. Then for our attributes, we're going to have 0 points into magic, 57 points into health, and 7 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 15.3k, a max health pool of 34.3k, and a max stam pool of 18.4k. And then we're also going to be using Vampire Stage 3 because I basically use that on all my builds because of the Undeath passive. The Undeath passive, for those of you guys that do not know, is the less health you have, the less damage you take. So it makes it so that you're pretty tanky. Let's look at our gear. We're going to be using a light magma incarnate helmet in the impenetrable trait because we have one extra slot in this build, and the magma incarnate is going to give you an extra little bit of magic and stam recovery, and I feel like that's kind of the tipping point that you need to have that little bit of extra recovery. I definitely recommend having this. We're also going to be using Tarnished Nightmare as our front bar set. And I know what you guys are thinking. Oh my god, another build Tarnished Nightmare. I really like it. It's got a lot of extra damage, and I think it's a lot of fun. So, Tarnished Nightmare, our front bar set, it's going to give us 3 lines of crit chance. So your crit chance is going to be really nice on this build. As you can see right here, you're at the 36.4% crit chance, which is a lot. And then the 5-piece is basically an AoE proc that also applies the Sundered status effect to all of your enemies as well. So it's a nice little bit of damage, it's a nice bit of crit chance as well, and Sundered status effect is awesome as well. Then on our body at all times, we're going to be using a heavy chest piece of the Fire Reinforced. So this is going to give you a line of weapon spell damage, max stam, crit chance, and then when you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 3,620 flame damage, and that can occur once every 2 seconds as well. So when it says that you deal damage with a weapon, that also includes rending slashes because that is a weapon ability, and that weapon ability is going to leave a dot. So you apply rending onto somebody, your Wave of the Fire will be proccing on them every 2 seconds. It is a lot of sustained damage, and it is great for a build like this. Our hands are going to be medium Tarnished Nightmare and Impen, and our waist is going to be medium Tarnished Nightmare and Impen as well. Our legs are going to be heavy Greaves of the Fire in Reinforced, and our feet are going to be heavy Sabatons of the Fire in Impen. Our mythic on this build is going to be Death Dealers because we want to increase our max health as much as possible on Arcanist. Death Dealers is going to be in the infused trait with a weapon spell damage enchantment on it. So what this does is every 2 seconds that you're in combat, you're going to gain a stack of Escalating Fate up to 30 stacks max, and that's going to give you, when at full stacks, it's going to give you about an extra 2,600-ish extra magic stam and health. So it makes it so that you're a lot beefier overall, and on Arcanist, a lot of some of your abilities are based off of your max health, and it's huge for that extra damage. Or I'm sorry, that extra damage mitigation, that healing. Sorry. All right, moving on, we're going to be using Ring and Necklace of the Fire. Both are going to be infused. Both are going to be weapon and spell damage enchantments on it. And then our front bar, we're going to be using Tarnished Nightmare Maces to increase our overall pen. Tarnished Nightmare Maces, our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a poison damage enchantment on it. And our offhand is very important, charged with a physical damage enchantment on it that restores stamina. It's definitely important to use this. Charge is going to make it so that this is applying very often and you get a lot of stamina back. You kind of need it on this build because really some of your only sources of just recovery is that magma helmet. So this is definitely a great way to make sure that your stam is not running out. And then on our back bar, we're going to be using Vateshran Perfected Ice Staff, defending with an increased weapon and spell damage on it. Vateshran, what is going to be that when you're applying LE susceptibility to your enemies, you're going to put a tether between you and them, which is going to do a bunch of damage every second. So that's basically I know it's a long paragraph right there, but that's the best way to put it. Let's go on to our CP next. We're going to be using Force of Nature. I've been really liking just dumping points into penetration lately because you are just cutting through people's resistances like paper on stuff like this. So on this build, you have Force of Nature, which is, I mean, I think we have a minimum of 5 status effects on your enemies at all times. So Force of Nature is going to make it so your pen is a lot higher. Wrathful Strikes, Deadly Aim, and Untamed Aggression. Our red slottables are going to be Celerity, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Pain's Refuge. And our green tree, as always, we care about Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. So moving on to our gear, or not our gear, our skills. We're going to be using Rending Slashes as our main spammable. I've been liking Rending because A, it's going to apply the Hemorrhaging status effect, which is going to apply more pen to your enemies with that Force of Nature CP. Also, this is going to be proccing your Wave the Fire every 2 seconds, and it's just a pretty solid spammable overall. It does some really good damage, and it just gets some sustained pressure on your enemies. So make sure you always have this on your enemies at all times. They'll be taking a lot of damage. We're also going to be using Camouflage Hunter because that's going to give you a source of major savagery and prophecy, increasing your weapon and spell critical by 2,600. Also, you're going to be getting Minor Berserk for 5 seconds after dealing critical damage from the enemy's flank. So make sure you're always trying to do that because, look, take any extra damage you can get in this game. We're also going to be using Recuperative Treatise. This is going to be your source of major brutality and major sorcery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 20%. And then also on this, I'm just going to read it because I'm still kind of iffy on doing the Arcanist ability, so I'm just going to read it for you. Etch a series of runes onto your weapon that pulse with power once every 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds, you're going to be enhancing your class abilities, and you're going to be striking your enemy. Whenever you strike your enemy with a class ability, you're going to be getting an additional 4,445 magic damage onto them, and also restoring 600 magic and stamina as well. So that's huge for your extra damage and your overall sustain by getting you magic and stam back as well. And then Cephaliarch's Flail. Sorry guys, I'm really bad with these Arcanist names. Basically, this is going to be your semi-burst damage on this build. Whenever you're not having rending on your enemies, make sure you're hitting this on them because of multiple things. A, it's some pretty good damage. Also, you're healing yourself for a little bit every time you hit your enemy as well. Also, when you put this on them, they're going to get Abyssal Ink on your enemies, and then you're going to be doing an additional 5% increased damage to enemies with Abyssal Ink. So after you hit your enemies with this, you're going to be hitting them a little bit harder as well. Also, it's going to be dealing up to 100% more damage to enemies that are less than 50% health. So it kind of works as an execute. It's not really the best by any means, but it does really good damage overall. And then Crux Weaver's Armor, this is going to be your source of major resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k. Also on top of that, while the armor persists, taking damage is going to apply minor breach to your enemy, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 3k for 6 seconds as well. And also, every 5 seconds, whenever you take damage, you also get a Crux, so that's really good for your overall Crux sustain. And we have only one ability on here that uses a Crux, so when we get to that, I will explain it. We're also using Dawnbreaker as our front bar ultimate because Dawnbreaker is Dawnbreaker. I think I always say that on every single one of my builds. Dawnbreaker is just one of the best ultimates in the game. It's some really good burst potential. Also on top of that, the passives for Fighters Guild is going to increase your overall weapon and spell damage, so that's huge. And overall, it's just a really good ultimate to have. And on top of that, that dot that it leaves behind as well is a lot of pressure as well, because Arcanist is really doing a lot with your dot pressure on this, especially with our CP, the way that we have it lined up. Your dot pressure is really nice on here. All right, moving on, we're going to be using Impervious Rune Ward, which is going to be what's consuming your cruxes. So this is going to give you a damage shield. For the first second, it's going to be an 11,600 damage shield, but after that, it's going to go down to about 6k. And then also, the first time you take direct damage, the shield is going to do a 3,100 magic damage back to your enemy as well. And then also on top of that, consuming a crux is going to heal you for 4,187 health, and that's going to be per crux spent as well. So imagine you have 3 cruxes, it's going to heal you 4,187 times 3, which is 12k basically, and that's scaled off of your max health. So with Death Dealers, your health gets a lot higher in here too, so make sure that you're using Impervious Rune Ward whenever you need to. That health on there is definitely a great way to go with your health and shield. I definitely recommend this ability. And then Race Against Time, this is going to be your snare removal and also your immunity to them as well. And then also on top of that, you're going to be getting Major Expedition and Minor Force for 20 seconds. So it's going to increase your movement speed by 30%, and it's going to increase your critical damage by 10%. So that's huge for your damage, huge for your movement, and huge to just overall get out of certain situations. And then Rune Guard or Freedom, this is going to be your source of Minor Resolve, so this is going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. Also, you're going to be getting Minor Protection on this for 20 seconds, so it's going to reduce your damage taken by 5%, so it makes you pretty tanky. Then the first time you are damaged while below 50%, you're going to be consuming your Minor Protection, and you're going to be healing for 12,500 health, and again, that scales off of your max health, so it's a lot higher when our Death Dealers is fully procced. You're also going to be gaining 3,000 armor and crowd control immunity for 6 seconds as well. So it makes it so that you're really tanky, and it makes you so that you can't really get bursted too much, because look, you're going to be getting a really chunky heal, and you're going to be getting tanky afterwards too. So this is honestly my favorite morph of this. I've been using this one more often than the other one, and I definitely recommend using this over something like Resolving Vigor as a as your source of Minor Resolve on Arcanist at least. We're also using Evolving your Rudemen. This is going to be kind of your in turn for Vigor. This is going to be a heal that heals you 3 times for 4,250 health. So that's kind of almost 12k as your tooltip, but you can also give this to your enemy as well. So that's, or not your enemy, your allies as well. So if your allies are in trouble, boom, hit this near them, and this is going to help them get right back to full health. And then Ellie's Susceptibility, this is going to be your source of Major Breach on your enemies, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k, so it's going to make them a lot squishier. And then every 7.5 seconds, the enemy is going to be afflicted with the Burning, Chilled, and Concussion status effects, so that's huge for your overall damage. That's great for your Force of Nature CP to add more status effects on them. Overall, it's a great ability, and there's a reason why everybody runs it. It's cheap, it doesn't even cost anything, and you get Major Breach on them right away. It is honestly one of the most overpowered skills in the game, in my opinion. To be free, get Major Breach and some status effects, huge. Also, for our ultimate, we're using Sanctum of the Abyssal Sea. Basically, what it's going to do, it's going to give you a giant damage shield, 44,000, that is going to be absorbing 60% of all incoming damage. So it's going to make you really tanky. Then after that 10 seconds, you're going to be lashing out, and whatever damage that you take during that shield, you're going to be doing back to your enemies over 10 seconds as well. So it is a amazing ultimate that I have caught so many people off guard with. People are still getting caught off guard with this, and in my opinion, it is just one of the best ultimates in the game right now. I have been loving using this. And overall, that is the entire build. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm also using Jewels of Mizrael as my food. That's going to increase my max health and also my stamina and magic recovery. And also I'm using tripods because that's going to really help your overall recovery as well. All right, and that is the entire build. I really hope that you guys enjoy. I've been really enjoying this build. This has been definitely one of my more fun builds that I've been playing lately, and it's just been one of the ones that I've been enjoying more. So guys, thank you so much for watching. One last announcement. I know we talked about the website earlier, but I also have another YouTube channel that I've been working very hard on. We post daily on there. We're doing BG channel. So we have a daily BG that we do every single day, and it's always being posted on every single day. So if you guys want some daily entertainment, go over, subscribe to it, Sekaar BGs. The link to that will be in the description. Please, I would implore you all to please go and subscribe to that. I would highly, highly, highly appreciate that. But guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next video. Later.